Hiya, Nick again, nice to see you. Hope you're well. What I thought I would do this video based on kind of what's happened this week in the Theasys Facebook group and the changes from free service provider or free accounts over to paid accounts. And I think an awful lot has been missed in the upset and the annoyance that people have had. And what I mean by that is the amount of work that's been done behind the scenes to update this platform that we've all bought into. So what I thought I would do tonight would be something just a little bit weird. I'm going to go back to the first virtual tour I built on Theasys. And I'll tell you now before we start, it's garbage. It's for a local museum that I did. And it was at the start of my virtual tour career back in 2018. So this tour it's over 2-year-old, just say over 2-year-old, but I've been using Theasys now for about 2.5 years. And this was just something I tried to do to get some experience under my belt so I could go on to the next job, which would be a paid job and paid job and paid job, which they were. But I think it's interesting to go back because the museum still really like this tour and it's been really popular for them. I cringe when I look at it because it's so badly shot. It was such a challenging environment to shoot. It's very dark, very light. It's a building that was built in 1856. It's one of the oldest steam pumping stations left in the United Kingdom. And it's on my doorstep and it's somewhere that I like. But the tour is bloody awful. It really is terrible. But I just wondered whether we could update it based on what's gone on with Theasys. And I wanted to do this for 2 reasons. I've never touched this tour since I've done it. So in August of not last year, the year before. So it's never been touched. It's had none of the new updates done. I've never really went back and looked at it. And I think it's always good to go back and look at your work, even though I'm not practicing what I preach. But I want to see if we can just make it look better based on what's come through in Theasys now, to see if it looks better without reshooting it. Am I going to reshoot this tour? Absolutely. It's awful. Awful. In an ideal world, I would go and shoot it with DSLR because I've learned my trade and I've gone from a MiSphere through all the iterations of different one-shot cameras, Theta V, which I still own, MiSphere, which I still own, 1X, which I still own, Kucam 8K, which I own, and then I've gone through the various DSLR routes and I've finally settled on what I like. As I've said to people before, I shoot Micro Four Thirds, I use a Lumix G9, I use a Nodal Ninja, I stitch in PT GUI, I edit in Lightroom, I edit in SNS HDR, in a mixture of Theasys and 3D Vista, depending on the price bracket that the customer's at. If they want full customization at the minute, 3D Vista is where we're at. Personally speaking, I would love a workflow. I use my Pixel Slate to work when I use Theasys. I go out, I shoot on the hoof. I want to be able to use a good 360 camera. Why I bought the Kucam, I don't know, but it's getting better every day. And I want to be in a position where I can shoot, edit, do everything mobile and be able to produce a product to that customer before I leave. I don't want to be stuck in the office all day. So if you'll entertain me, I would like to go back and have a look at Riot Engine Museum. Now, this is not a chance for you all to go, wow, look at how awful that tour is. I already know it is. You don't need to poke me with sticks. But I just want to see if we can improve it just by using the updates that have came through on Theasys. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn the camera off and we're going to go on to a screen grab. Okie dokie. So as you can see, this is my account. My name's up the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick on the very first tour I ever built, which is this one, which was Riot Engine Museum. And you can see by the date up here, it was created or signed off on the 8th of the 8th. I actually started it well before that. And this is just as it's been shot. So it's been shot and built and I have never went back to it. It is really bad, so be gentle with me. So first of all, let's preview it. It's got my old logo on. You can see straight away before we even click, the image is going to be terrible, which we know they are. So we've got old square presets, we've got the menu on all the time, we've got some hotspots, highlights are horrendous, shadows are just wrong. This was my first tour. Be gentle, everybody. You can see all the chromatic aberration. It's interesting to see how far I've came as a virtual tour producer now. You know, this was shot on DSLR for a restaurant with a mixture of drones. We've got the floating arrows, we've got different hotspots. The images just look better. Yeah, you know, I've learnt my craft, so you know it's okay us saying Theasys has improved its service, which it has. But I think we've all grown as well, I've certainly grown as a photographer over the last 2 years. Let's see if we can do something with Riot Engine Museum. Yeah, Riot Engine Museum. I'm not going to do anything in the tour editor. So what I'm not going to do is anything over here at all. So, you know, we're not going to do anything with the panorama properties, the project properties, panorama properties, or the hotspot properties. We're not going to do any of that. All we're going to do is just go back to the customize buttons, customize sections. So again, this is where we're at. I'm quite embarrassed. Look at the chromatic aberration. Anyway, so first thing you need to know, panoramic optimisation. Theasys have increased your picture size now, where you used to be limited to 10,000 by 5,000 pixels. On the old menu up here, we had enable HD, but that's gone. If you've got an older tour, it'll automatically have been optimised for speed or quality. I think this is amazing to be able to change the quality between tours. So be able to change the way that a mobile phone loads to a tablet. The bit that is quite crazy is preloading. I spoke to the guys today to find out what this is, because I was a little bit confused. If we turn this off, this is how your tour was set originally. So what would happen was the first tour would load, the first page on your virtual tour would load the first panorama, and you had the preloader, which would kind of rotate. I'm even looking at this logo now, it's clear background. Anyway, so what progressive loading does is it'll load all of the links in front. So as long as you host it on the Theasys site, all of your virtual tour panoramas will be loaded. If you do full, before anybody clicks a button, the whole tour will be loaded in the background, which basically means it's going to speed up when you load. Now I think that's nuts. You know, to be able to click on this, and you can see that preloader's there. See the preloader there, the little pink preloader? Right, okay. Let's go back and have a look at that when we do the preloading for full, because at the moment we haven't done anything. Right, floating arrows navigation. These are my old hotspots. They're what I thought. Now I'd save them as a preset, but what we're going to do is we're going to change them to floating arrows, and we're going to hide them, and we are going to do, I don't know, let's do triangled arrows. And let's just leave everything else as it is. I'm going to leave everything else as it is, even though I want to change the logo. I want to change, that's just horrible. And I want to change the panorama transition. So this is with no panorama transition on at all. So we've got floating arrows, panorama transition. That's it, it just jumps. The guys have put these new 5 in, so you can walk through and move in. I particularly like walk through and move in. That's just me. You'll see it'll load and then zoom in. Can you see that? Yeah. Or just walk through. There's no zoom in. Walk through and move in. Walk through and elastic's quite cool. Kind of has that little jump, which I think is quite nice. Elastic 2 is could be another favourite of mine. I do like that. And walk through and velocity. No, I think that's my favourite. So we've done that, and what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of put the preloaded down to 0. And the reason I want to do that is I want to see if it'll load that quick. There we go. Let's just do this again. Let's reload this tour. As soon as I click on this, because we've optimized it, it's loading all the panoramas in the background, so it'll just jump into the next panorama. That's quick. I don't care what you say. That's quick. Those floating arrows look a million times better. All I've done is that. Does that tour look better? Well, let's reload it and have a look from the start. Big screen, click. Does that? I've got to get rid of that. That's just horrendous. Let me get rid of visible by default, because that's just doing me head in. I've never even went back and looked at the menu. I'm quite embarrassed. Now the menu's gone. Is that better? Yes. I think those hotspots straight away are better. Is the loading time quicker? Yes. Is it quicker? And I'm only on, I think I'm on 25 or 30 megabyte internet, and I'm quite away from the main area. But you can see, I think you can agree that that's pretty quick. So just by doing something as simple as using floating arrows, we've been able to make something that I'm deeply embarrassed about better. Will the customer be happy with that? Well, here's my thoughts on this. Imagine this is a virtual tour that I've done 2 years ago, and I've never been in contact with that customer again. I've never spoke to them. I've just assumed that because they haven't came to me, they're quite happy with this abomination of a virtual tour, which is what it is. So if I ring Keith, who manages this museum, and I say, "Hi Keith, it's Nick Watson, how you doing? Hope you're well. How's COVID been?" "Oh Nick, the virtual tour's been used loads." "Has it? Fabulous." "Well, that's what I like to hear." "Look Keith, what we've done is we've updated the program. So what we've done is we've went in, we've increased the speed of it. We've optimized it for mobile. We'll give it a little bit more of an interactive walkthrough, so when your customers walk through, it'll be a smoothless transition, where before it was there wasn't a transition. And I've changed them hotspots. I've never been happy with them, and I've had a chance. I've went in and I've changed them. So Keith, I've done that. Is that okay?" "Yeah, that's brilliant, Nick. Ah, that's fabulous. Do I need to do anything?" No, not at all. Because what we've done is we've hosted that tour on our server for you. I don't actually think they've ever got round to putting it on their website. They just share it. But you don't have to do anything, Keith. We've done it all at our end for you. So as soon as you load in the tour, it'll just work. Oh, fabulous. I would never have gone back to this client, and I would certainly never have gone back to this virtual tour if Danny and the guys at Theasys hadn't updated the system and let me have a look. I'm going to contact all of my old customers who were on Theasys, and I'm going to change them all over onto floating arrows navigation because it'll look nicer. I'm going to do panoramas optimization for them as well, and I'm going to change the onboard transitions, the panorama transitions, and I'm going to get rid of the preloader. That's just what I'm going to do, and that gives me a chance to ring every customer back and say, "Here's something that we're doing for you for nothing, just because it came along." These are all only available if you've got a paid contract, which is $20 a month. That's before you get into the other stuff that's in here, which is, again, I think better than a lot of the competition. But that's me. I've used this for 2.5 years. People tell me I'm biased. Maybe I am. I would love your thoughts. I would love, genuine users of Theasys, I would love your comments down in the comments section to say what you think. The original question was, could we make this tour look better than it did when I shot it over 2 years ago, when I knew nothing with my MiSphere? I can't do anything about the terrible image quality. Does it load quicker? Yes, it certainly does. Does the transition add something to it? Yes, it certainly does. Do the floating arrows add something to it? Yes, I think they do. That's it from me, guys. It was just a little quick video I wanted to do, which has turned into a 10-minute video. But I just wanted to show you some of the stuff that I found out through speaking to people at Theasys. The guys are great, you know, if you reach out and ask them, they'll answer your questions. But have we made this virtual tour look better than it did 2.5 years ago? Yes. There we go. Mission accomplished. Have a good day.